Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk today about changing your life. And I'm sure a lot of, if you found us, you probably were searching. You found some keywords that you put in and you located us. Maybe you're listening live. We appreciate that as well. And you're looking for a life change. Like there's answers out there and you're trying to find the answers. The answers can very much be working with a spiritual life coach, a hypnotherapist. This stuff really works. And I doubted it in the beginning. Long story, I was exposed to all of this decades ago and didn't really dig into it until I guess I really needed to. And then I did. And she's back with us. And might I also add, she's an amazing author, just got her book. And I'm digging into that now. Rhea Maceris is on the program with us. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Steve.
And thank you for sending me the book, Rebel Spirit. That is my weekend read. And the book pretty much talks about everything that we're talking about here in terms of spiritually healing through hypnotherapy, all of that, right?
Absolutely. It actually reveals my life story and how one of the main pieces that even in writing it was brought to my attention more and more is how guided we truly are when we allow ourselves to see the signs and the posts and the landmarks that are guiding us. So this really reveals that and shows it in a beautiful, fun, lighthearted, yet deep way.
And I just want to reinforce the fact that you're not just helping people because it sounds like, it's a great idea. You're helping people because this all has helped you. You know it works. You're a student of it for many years. You walk the walk and talk the talk, and that can be revealed in the book as well. Looking back at your life, and I never want to say, you should have done this. You should never should on yourself. But what do you look at your life and say, yeah, I didn't realize that then. Now I realize it.
I think that's a spinoff of what I was just referring to is how we are so guided. And it's really allowing yourself to become the observer in life and really watch instead of getting caught up in the right and the wrong and the shoulds and all of those things that can distract us from our truth, because that's more of societal's way of thinking with the shoulds, etc. So I think that's the main piece in looking back. If someone had told me that like when I was maybe 7 or 8 or 9 or even 10 to start watching, that would have been intriguing to me. How it could have changed my life, I really don't know, but I think it would have added almost like an element of more adventure and fun to the journey.
Somebody told me recently, and this is nobody that does this kind of work. This is a naturist, if you will. He also, I'm trying to think of how to pronounce it, Tao. He studies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What is it Buddhist connected? I'm trying to remember.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And what he suggests to everybody is picture life being a stream and just go. Don't fight the current. Just go with the current. And I'm hearing that in you where, I guess it's a cliche, go with the flow, but just go. Let the universe, let the water take you instead of trying to fight it. No, wait a minute, because it's taking you for a reason. But we don't realize that. We don't see the reason. Sometimes it will never be revealed. I feel that many times it is because there's a lesson to be learned. Do you believe that everything is a lesson?
I do. And it's reminding me of the Chinese have this symbol, and it's called crisis opportunity for the same symbol, meaning that anytime there's a challenge or something unexpected, like quote, out of the blue happens, that yes, there is a reason for it. And it's kind of like that idea of not trying to force something, but trusting that's happening for maybe your soul's evolution, not so much for the humanness through the eyes of what we want or we feel we want or we need, but trusting that crisis is going to awaken us somehow to an opportunity of growth or change.
What's your biggest lesson in life so far?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think it would be, I'm sure there are many, but right now as we're talking about this, I love what you were saying about the river or the stream, because I've noticed that when I try to force something, that it usually I hit a wall, literally. And so
Mhm.
it's not trying to force anything, it's trusting, an element of trust that it's going to happen the way it needs to, like the river scenario. Yeah.
Yeah. And as I asked you that question, I closed my eyes as you were answering for a moment and thinking, how would I answer? And that would be the first one, many lessons, but the first one would be trust in yourself, trust your instinct, trust your gut. You know the answer. And there's a personal situation. Not a big one, but it's on my radar where I know it's not going to change as much as I want it to change. I just that's the way I want it to be. It's not going to be that way. I already know it. So got to go to plan B or make it work for now, whatever it is in your life. But you can't change other people. You can't change situations sometimes. You just got to, again, just go with the flow because the river's taking you there for a reason. There's a reason behind it.
Yes. Yeah. It's an element of trust.
Yeah.
And part of being the observer, like I mentioned, is keeping your focus and with yourself and your own feelings and your own thoughts. And like ideally, my intention each and every day is to allow them to be positive and in gratitude. I think each day, part of the empowerment and something I wish I would have learned as well as we're talking, that we really have a choice. Are we going to hang out in fear? Or are we going to hang out in love? Because I see those two as really the two opposites. Fear with doubt and shame and anger and frustration. And nothing wrong with emotions. Emotions are important. They're just communication. However, I feel we do have that choice. Or are we going to go and hang out in love, which is appreciation and gratitude and acceptance and all those higher vibrational feelings? Because literally how we change our life is by connecting to the higher vibrational part of who we are.
How do we find that?
Going within, which is part of what I offer on my inner journeys and my outer journeys. We have everything we need within us. That's one thing I would have loved to have heard when I was younger, because we're taught, what are the neighbors doing? What are they thinking? What are they, we're worrying about what other people are thinking about us
Oh yeah.
rather than how am I feeling in this moment right now? That's such an important question. How am I feeling? Because our feelings are only communication. And we live in a world where, the medical world is cut it out or put you on drugs. And I respect what they do. This isn't about them, but it's about trusting our feelings and connecting with that part of ourself and trusting our intuition and all that comes with those feelings.
I feel the same way in many regards. If I could go back to my younger self, I would say just that. Don't worry what people think. Why do you even care? And I even tell my kids now, don't. You're wasting time. Who cares? Like my daughter will even be, self-conscious walking in a store, what she's wearing. I'm like, you're never going to see those people again. They don't care. It's okay. But we put it on ourselves. We worry.
And I even wonder if that's even related to our ego, that inner critic or that inner judge that somehow thinks people are looking at us, or they really, because at the end of the day, they have their lives they're navigating, they're busy, they're doing their own journeys and what they need to do. They're really not spending time thinking about us, right?
Yeah, but I also feel, and we've talked about this before, that these are beliefs that got got put within us from our childhood. And that's
Yes.
why are some people you admire them if you're somebody that worries about others looking and judging you. There's others that just go, I don't care. No problem. Yeah, I've got confidence. They probably have other issues. We all have them, but that's one thing that they don't worry about. And maybe in their childhood, they were uber supported by their parents. Maybe they, bolstered a lot of self-esteem at a very young age, whatever it might be. So they've got that nailed down where the rest of us, well, maybe not. There's some things floating out there. but you're never going to know what they are unless somebody works with somebody like you through hypnotherapy or some kind of spiritual awakening.
And as I was referring to with that way of thinking, when you allow yourself to allow me to guide you to enter into that world within you, there's so many answers and insights, and it's so empowering. And then we're focusing on being our best instead of what does Harry down the road think or
You know what's interesting? I just had a thought, Rhea, that when you do that, and I got, lots to go, but in terms of realizing who you are and yourself, it's like going to school again because you learn stuff like about yourself, what you're capable of, how you can, conquer certain things that you never thought, the ways you think about things. Because unless you really get deep within, you're just doing, autopilot every day, autopilot life, just
Yes, yes. And what I along those lines too, Steve, is what I've noticed is for me, it's easier to be in my natural, authentic connection with my soul space. It's more natural, it's more organic, and
right.
that's where the freedom is. Along with that comes a freedom because I'm going to be me, because that's who else can I be, right?
Right. But you're not putting on a show for somebody.
Right.
And I don't mean that in the, over the top reference, but it's more of if you're not being me, you're being. There's a song by Billy Joel. It's called "The Stranger," and if you look at the lyrics, it's kind of the same thing. We have a different face we put on for other people, and sometimes you don't even know who you are, and that's. I feel that we do that a lot of times. You might go into a certain situation. Maybe you're this person at your job. Maybe you're this person in this one relationship. Maybe you're this person over here. Just when you come to the point where you're just you, so much easier.
Oh my gosh, and lighter because you're letting go of all that, literally,
Right.
and
Yeah.
the freedom that comes with.
And the
And
free.
so, and that's something that I, when I'm working with people, it's a common scenario where they will say, "Oh my gosh, I don't tell anyone this. I don't tell anyone this," because I offer such a safe space, and without judgment, I'm not here to judge them. I'm only here to support my clients and the people that show up that I work
Right.
with. And I probably have heard it all. I probably have seen it all. So not many things really surprise me at this point. I mean, I'm there to support and to honor who they are and who they are becoming. And that element of freedom is in the room that, okay, if you want to, it's time to take the mask off. And like I said, it's so much easier.
Yeah. It's like when you go to the doctor, like people say, if you go to a specialist and it's like, I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm like, they've seen it.
Yeah,
It
they've
doesn't
seen it
matter.
all.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing, you've heard it all. Why would you even judge? Like who even has time for that? And you get past all of that and let's get to the healing for the person that you're working with. How does it work when somebody reaches out to you? You do hypnotherapy, you also do spiritual coaching and more. How do you work the hypnotherapy in? Is it always a part of working with somebody?
Yes, it is, because I believe that is where the most relevance, the most truth, the most authenticity can be brought to the surface.
Hmm.
Because we're carrying a lot in our subconscious, sometimes out of protection, sometimes out of denial. We may not want to see it, we may not want to face it. And not to make it like it's scary, it's not all negative. Also, in the subconscious is the beauty and the radiance and the brilliance of who we are. So it's a very insightful journey, and it's almost like finding your inner treasures.
Yeah. Well, that's what said before. It's like going to school and exciting because you're learning
Yes,
new stuff. What are you learning? You.
yes, yes,
Simple.
and
You.
yes, and learning how to take care of yourself and listen to yourself, because truly, who is really going to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself?
Nobody's going to do a better job than yourself.
Yes.
And there are many great life coaches, spiritual coaches in the universe, but having done hypnotherapy and looked at all of this, I almost don't know how you can do coaching without the hypnotherapy part, because we can say to somebody, all right, we figured out what your beliefs are. So we're going to put it in a balloon in your mind, and we're going to just let the balloon go. And there's that, and I think that's a hypnotherapy technique as well. But you're not tapping into the true subconscious when you're doing that. It's just, it's a concept. But when you're hypnotized, you're really tapping into the subconscious. You're there. And I don't know how effectively that can be done in coaching without doing hypnotherapy.
Well, that's a really good point. And of course, there are advantages to talking and sharing and
Sure.
sharing your beliefs and your desires, etc. But for real, authentic, long-term change, for me, that it's the best remedy that I have found. And I get to watch. I mean, I literally get to watch my clients come in, and they often are carrying these heavy beliefs or these heavy ideas or this heavy should, like you talked about, you're shoulding on yourself. Um, and then as they're letting go, realizing these and literally letting these ideas and these heavy burdens go, they literally start walking differently with more confidence. They're lighter. It's fascinating to watch. And I just feel really, really honored I get to do this.
Yeah, and all this stuff we don't realize it. You might not even realize the way you're walking, where your shoulders might be arched forward as opposed to, standing up straight and tall because you're proud of who you are. Um, all of this stuff goes unnoticed because we're just doing life every day without, I guess, a Rhea wake up call. That's really what it is.
I
You know,
like that. I like that.
you're waking people up, to what
Yeah.
their potential is and what their future could be like. Um, is there different types of coaching that you do, or is it all kind of along the same realm that we're talking about?
Well, I guess it would be different in the regard of the person is different that I'm working with. So it's really about, I really tune in, and it's almost like when I'm working with someone, it's like I'm putting a puzzle together, piecing together what they've shared, what I know about them, what I'm sensing intuitively. And so is it different? Absolutely, because it's going to be personalized for the person that's sitting in front of me at that moment. And it really can go in many different directions. And like I did a 3-day retreat with a woman I guess it was last week, and she said, Rhea, to say that I've changed is an understatement. I am a new woman. And that was a combination of talking, going to the creek, doing inner journeys, and doing some art. And it really, each time I meet with someone, it's designed perfectly for them.
I love that she said that, being a totally different person. Mm,
She was finding who she was. She was literally letting go part of the mask that she was wearing. And she even became to that realization as we were talking that she's been wearing it. She's in her 50s at this point.
sure.
And she had some ideas around it, of course, but to really, really face it, it takes courage and it takes a willingness to be herself finally. Yay. Yeah.
How long did you work with her?
Well, I worked with her this is the woman that I had shared. I worked with her about 5 years ago. We met and did 2 sessions in Sedona, personal 2 hour sessions. Then I worked with her for ongoing sessions for 2 more years where we were doing inner follow-up because it literally is changing your thinking, how you view yourself, how you view your life, and opening up new eyes to really look at yourself. So then she came for a 3-day because she was going through a divorce right now. So it's really as if I'm kind of like an on-call emotional provider in a
Hmm,
sense. I have friends that call me and clients. I mean, my clients generally become friends from all around the United States to just call me up. I need a reboot. I need to talk, or I need an inner journey. And then so I'm pretty much available.
do you do any kind of energy healing?
I do Reiki,
Okay.
and I believe the process of any of the inner journey work is automatically energy work. because you're shifting their energy, how they feel about themselves. Ideally, to go to the higher vibrational energies, like I was talking about, because that's how we shift our life. So imagine it like this, Steve. If we're hanging out in fear and anxiety and depression and sadness and anger, and then from the past, if we're reflecting on the past and we're angry at someone, we're angry at our mom or our dad or whatever, if we're bringing that fear into the present moment, our present moment is creating our tomorrow. So this is why it's so important to let go of your past, because that's exactly how we self-sabotage. So by shifting out of the fear and the negativity and shifting into the more positive, that's literally how we are in a higher vibrational place. And then that's inviting situation and people in life to come in and meet us there, because we are literally creating each and every moment of our life by our thoughts and our feelings.
I just got a visual of the higher vibration. And to me, it's almost like walking on a cloud
Ooh.
where the rest of us, if it's a low vibration, you're just, walking on the floor, whatever it might be, but you've elevated and doesn't mean you're any better than anybody else, but you're in a different place and you're just, and it's almost as if you're on that cloud and you have a force field because you don't let allow things to get in that don't serve you. And it's
You're
not,
literally above them. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we don't want to mean that in a snobby way, like I'm above you.
Right.
No,
Right.
that's not it. You're just coming from a different place. To use a cliche, you're coming from you're in a different place. What place is that? A higher vibration place. And anybody else can be there. It's their choice. You might have just made that.
Literally is their choice. And that's part of the empowerment. And so what I meant by a higher, it's more like that allows you to be in the observer position as well. So you can watch and look at your life through those eyes rather than emotionally taking things personally or emotionally reacting to situations that may or may not have anything to do with you. Because people are really good at projecting
Oh, well,
their
yeah.
misery onto other people. And even when I'm talking with people, this is so interesting. When I'm hearing them talk about someone, what they did and what they said, and I'm not even thinking about that other person, I'm reflecting that this is a part of them that is sensitive, that is hurting, that needs some attention. So it's very interesting. That's part of the puzzle pieces I was referring to. And
Yeah.
that to me is so fascinating. So I get to be like the little investigator.
Yeah, because you're looking at it from a different perspective, and when you say
Yes.
projecting, that brings me back to what we project what we want people to see, but it's really not who we are. We all have a face that we hide away forever, and we take them out and show ourselves when everyone has gone. And that's The Stranger by Billy Joel, where I think we're strangers.
Oh, I like Billy Joel. I don't know if that I've heard that one though. Maybe I need to hear it.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm not.
it's off the album The Stranger, so that's the title track. It was about 1977. Um,
Okay.
And yeah, it's an interesting song because I think a lot of us do put that face on, but it's not who we are. Who we are can be that person that is of a higher vibration. That's who we should be. But we want people to think everything's great, everything's well, maybe not, but it can be. Um,
So imagine taking off your mask. A little vulnerability, a little sensitivity, and it's all good. It's your truth.
it's your truth. It's who you
Yeah.
really are. And maybe in the beginning it might be a little uncomfortable to take the mask off. You might feel that, more vulnerability, but once you get into the zone of that vibration and who you really are, this that's the way it is. That's the way it should be. There's like nothing can trip you up. It's like it's all good. I got it. I figured it out now. But you can't always do it alone, and for that we have you. uh what's the best way we find you?
Right now, I prefer texting. So 928-204-0878. Sadly, my website is down right now. So texting is fine until I get that fixed.
Gotcha. Okay. uh,
Yeah.
I'm a geek, might want to just put up a splash screen with a contact. It's a basic contact. But always great talking with you, and just the insight. And this is stuff this is life-changing things that we're talking about here.
Thank you.
Life-changing.
Imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah. Rhea, always great having you on. I really appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy the book.
That's my Sunday read. That's what I'm doing. And thank you.
Yay.
All right. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.